Hey guys, tonight we slip into the humid, star-soaked jungles of a Mayan city, where the night sky isn't just pretty, it's a map, a warning, and a death sentence. Picture yourself standing on a stone plaza, the air thick with copal incense, as a star reader traces constellations with a trembling finger. Torches flicker, casting shadows on pyramids that claw at the heavens. This guy, he's not just stargazing. He's defying gods, kings, and probably common sense. Spoiler, you probably won't survive questioning the cosmos in this town. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand in the heart of a Mayan city. Let's call it Tikal, around 800 CE. Though the locals don't use that calendar. The plaza stretches wide, its stones worn smooth by centuries of bare feet. Above, the Milky Way sprawls like a cosmic jaguar's pelt, each star a story, a prophecy, or a trap. You're not alone. A crowd murmurs, their voices low like the hum of cicadas. At the center, a man in a feathered cloak, the star reader points a polished obsidian rod at the sky. His name's lost to history, so let's call him Kinich. After the sun god, he's probably annoyed. Kinich isn't just reading stars, he's challenging the priest's grip on divine truth. Bad move. The Maya were obsessed with astronomy. Mainstream fact. They built observatories like the one at Chichen Itza to track Venus and predict eclipses with creepy accuracy. Their calendars, the Tzolk'in and Hab, meshed like gears pinning time to the gods' whims. But here's the odd detail: some star readers like Kinich used unofficial charts scribbled in bark paper codices that didn't align with the priest's dogma. These weren't just math errors, they were heresy. Some believe Kinich saw a comet the priest ignored, claiming it signaled doom. Others argue he was just a show-off, tweaking the calendar to flex his brain. Either way, he's poking a jaguar with a stick. You shuffle closer, your sandals scuffing the plaza. Kinich's voice is steady, but his eyes dart to the temple steps where priests in jaguar pelts watch like vultures. The crowd's nervous, half in awe, half ready to bolt. You notice a kid, maybe 10, clutching a maze doll, staring at Kinich like he's a god. Poor kid's about to learn heroes don't last long here. The air's heavy, not just from heat, but from the weight of what's coming. Kinich points to a star cluster, calling it the Jaguar's Eye, and says it's shifted. The crowd gasps. You're no astronomer, but even you know claiming the heavens are off is like telling the king his crown's fake. Let's be real. If you tried stargazing with Kinich's gear, basically sticks and shiny rocks, you'd probably predict a pizza delivery instead of an eclipse. But the Maya didn't mess around. Their cities, like Tikal, were laid out to mirror constellations, each pyramid a star on the ground. Kinich's problem: he's not sticking to the script. The priests say the gods demand blood to keep the stars spinning. Kinich says the stars are warning against it. You can guess who's got the bigger fan base and the sharper obsidian blades. You glance at the temple, its steps steep and stained with old offerings. The head priest, let's call him Lord Smoke, because his incense obsession is choking. Everyone glares down. His headdress, a riot of Quetzal feathers, sways as he whispers to his lackeys. You catch the word sacrilege. Not good. Kinich keeps talking, oblivious or defiant, pointing at a star that's wandered from its path. You're starting to think this guy's either a genius or the ancient equivalent of a flat earther. The crowd's splitting, some nod, some hiss. You spot a merchant slipping away, probably to snitch. Here's a dry joke to lighten the mood. Why did the Mayan star reader get fired? His predictions were too out of orbit. Yeah, I know, don't quit my day job, but seriously, Kinich is on thin ice. The Maya didn't just read stars for fun. They used them to time wars, plant maize, and oh yeah, decide who gets to meet the gods in person. Kinich's rogue theories threaten that system. You feel the plaza's energy shift like a storm brewing. The kid with the maze doll tugs his mom's hand, asking if the stars are angry. She shushes him, but her eyes say she's wondering the same thing. You're tempted to grab Kinich and whisper, "Dude, maybe chill." But he's in too deep. The stars, he says, demand a new ritual, one without blood. Bold, but in a city where sacrifice is as routine as breakfast tacos, it's a death wish. You notice the priest's lackeys moving through the crowd, their hands on obsidian knives. The air's electric now, and not in a fun way. You're just a bystander, but your heart's pounding like you're the one on trial. Kinich lowers his rod, his voice dropping to a whisper. The Jaguar's eye sees truth, he says. The crowd's silent. You're not sure if they're inspired or terrified. Probably both. As the moon climbs higher, you realize this isn't just about stars. It's about power. Who controls the heavens, controls the city. Kinich is betting his life on a hunch, and you're stuck watching it play out. You glance at the kid again. He's still clutching that doll like it'll save him. You want to tell him to run, but where to? The jungle's dark, the city's awake, and the stars aren't talking. Not to you anyway. Kinich steps back his cloak, brushing the plaza stones. The priests are descending the temple steps now, their shadows long and hungry. You're not sure what's worse, the silence or what's about to break it. You climb the pyramid, where priests plot the Star Reader's doom, each step a reminder that gravity and bad decisions are equally unforgiving. The stone is cool under your bare feet, worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims and schemers. You're halfway up the grand staircase of Tikal's tallest temple, the one locals call the Jaguar's Claw, though you're pretty sure they made that name up to scare kids. The air thins as you ascend, thick with the scent of burning copal and something sharper, fear maybe. Below, the plaza shrinks and Kinich's starlit sermon feels like a distant dream. Up here, it's all shadows and whispers, and you're about to eavesdrop on the kind of meeting that ends careers. Or lives. The Maya built these pyramids as cosmic ladders, mainstream fact. Structures like this one aligned with solstices and equinoxes, turning cities into giant sundials. But here's the odd detail. Some temples had hidden chambers carved deep in the stone, where priests held secret councils. Not exactly book clubs. Some believed these rooms were for communing with gods. Others argued they were just fancy panic rooms for when rival cities attacked. Either way, you're headed to one now, and it's not on the tourist map. You reach the top, breathless, and duck behind a stela, a carved slab covered in glyphs that probably say something like, King so-and-so was awesome. The platform's small, dominated by a shrine where Lord Smoke, the head priest with the Quetzal feather obsession, holds court. He's there flanked by two lesser priests, their faces painted with black stripes, like they're auditioning for a jaguar cosplay. You crouch low, your heart doing a samba. The night's warm, but a chill crawls up your spine. You're not supposed to be here, and if they spot you, you'll be explaining yourself to the gods sooner than Kinich. Lord Smoke's voice is low, like gravel underfoot. He defies the calendar, he says, spitting the word. It's a bad tamale. You don't need a glyph dictionary to know he's talking about Kinich. The priests nod, their jade earrings glinting in the torchlight. You catch phrases, heretical charts, false omens, the king's patience. Apparently Kinich's star reading isn't just annoying, it's a threat to the whole system. The Maya ran their lives by the stars, from planting maize to waging wars, and one guy saying, "Hey, your math's off" is like unplugging the internet in 2025. You shift your knee, scraping the stone, and one priest glances your way. You freeze, wondering if you should have stayed in the plaza with the maze doll kid. Dry joke time? Why don't Mayan priests play chess? They'd sacrifice the board before checkmate. You're not laughing, though, because the priest's stare lingers. He turns back and you exhale. Close call. You notice a bat flit overhead, its wings a soft whoosh in the dark. Maybe it's a sign, or maybe it's just a bat. You're not Kinich. You don't read omens. The council's getting heated. Lord Smoke slams his staff topped with a jade jaguar head against the stone. The gods demand order, he growls. You get it, Kinich's rogue star charts aren't just a nerdy side project. They challenge the priest's monopoly on divine Wi-Fi. If the stars say no more, sacrifices, the priests are out of a job, and the king's not thrilled either.
You remember Kinich's bold claim about the jaguar's eye. Up here, it feels less like courage and more like a guy yelling fire in a crowded temple.
You peer over the stela, catching sight of a clay tablet one priest clutches. It's etched with glyphs. Probably the official star chart, the one Kinich has been dissing. You're no expert, but it looks like a cosmic to-do list. Eclipse on Tuesday, sacrifice on Wednesday. The priests are obsessed with keeping the gods happy, and Kinich's freestyle astronomy is throwing their schedule into chaos. You wonder if he knows how much trouble he's in. Probably. He didn't seem like the oops my bad type back in the plaza. Here's another dry joke. What's a Mayan priest's favorite app? Star line, but only the premium version. Okay, focus. You notice Lord Smoke's hands gnarled but steady, tracing a glyph in the air. It's a death symbol. You've seen it on stela, usually next to a skull or a bound captive. Your stomach twists. They're not just annoyed with Kinich, they're planning his exit. The lesser priests murmur agreement, their voices a creepy chant. You catch the word cenote, and your mind flashes to the sacred sinkhole on the city's edge. Not a good place for a swim. You're starting to feel like a spy in a bad movie, except there's no popcorn. And the bad guys have obsidian blades. The platform's edge is close, and you're tempted to bolt down the steps, but you need to hear this. Lord Smoke's outlining a plan, a trial quiet, no public fuss. The stars will judge, he says, which sounds poetic until you realize it's code for, we're rigging this. You remember the kid with the mace doll? His wide eyes fixed on Kinich. If this goes south, that kid's faith in heroes is toast. The bat's back circling the shrine, like it's mocking you. You're not sure if it's the same one. but you're calling it Steve. Steve's got the right idea. Stay small, stay quiet. You're trying, but your sandal's loose, and every shift risks a clatter. The priests are wrapping up their voices, dropping to whispers. Lord Smoke raises his staff, and the jade jaguar glints like it's winking at you. By the new moon, he says. That's soon days, maybe. Kinich is running out of time, and you're wondering if you should have packed a better hiding spot. You glance at the sky, the jaguar's eye star Kinich mentioned glowing brighter than the rest. It's beautiful, but up here it feels like a snitch pointing right at you. The priests turn toward the staircase, and you press yourself against the stela, praying your shadow doesn't sell you out. Your heart's loud enough to wake the gods, but they pass their cloaks rustling like dry leaves. You're alone again, you and Steve the Bat, with a front row seat to a conspiracy. The plaza's far below, and Kinich is probably still preaching, unaware of the net tightening around him. You want to warn him, but you're just a ghost in this story, stuck watching it unfold. You decode the Star Reader's forbidden celestial maps, your fingers tracing glyphs in a dim chamber that smells like damp stone and rebellion. You're in a cramped room tucked behind a minor temple, one the priests don't bother guarding because it's supposedly just for storing maize. Spoiler, it's not. The walls are etched with star charts, spirals, and dots that look like a toddler's art project, but are actually Kinich's life's work. A single oil lamp flickers, casting shadows that dance like they're mocking your math skills. You're alone for now, but every creak of the jungle outside makes you jump. Kinich's maps are here, and they're the kind of secret that gets you a one-way ticket to the underworld. The Maya were astronomical rock stars, mainstream fact. Their codices, like the Dresden Codex, mapped Venus's cycles with precision that would make NASA jealous. But here's the odd detail: some star readers kept private charts hidden from the priests because official records were as flexible as a king's ego. Some believe Kinich's maps predicted a celestial event the priests suppressed, like a comet or rogue planet. Others argue he was just doodling, obsessed with stars no one else could see. Either way, these charts are trouble, and you're holding them. You kneel beside a bark paper codex, its edges frayed like it's been handled by a nervous raccoon. The glyphs are tiny, inked in red and black with lines connecting dots that represent stars. You're no astronomer, but you recognize the jaguar's eye constellation Kinich raved about in the plaza. It's drawn bigger here with an arrow pointing to a glyph that looks like a skull. Subtle. You flip the page and there's a calendar around a 52-year cycle the Maya used to track time, but it's off. Kinich's version skips a sacred day, which is like canceling Christmas in Tikal. No wonder Lord Smoke's feathers are ruffled. You glance at the doorway, half expecting Steve the Bat to swoop in with a warning. Nothing. Just the jungle's hum, cicadas, frogs, and something that's probably a jaguar. But let's pretend it's a cat. You're starting to feel like Kinich's intern decoding his cosmic homework. Dry joke alert. Why did the Star Reader fail at stand-up? His punchlines were too astronomical. Okay, back to the codex. The next page shows a star path curving like a snake with notes in Kinich's shaky hand. You squint. The jaguar's eye moves. The gods lied. Bold, but in a city where priests control the narrative, it's like tweeting spoilers during a royal ball game. You unroll another chart, this one on deerskin, because apparently Kinich had a budget. It's a map of the Milky Way with glyphs marking portals where gods supposedly travel. You remember the priests' council on the pyramid, their obsession with order. Kinich's maps aren't just off-script. They're rewriting the script. The Maya believed the cosmos was a machine, each star a gear. If Kinich is right, the machine's broken, and the priests are the last to know. You trace a glyph that means eclipse, paired with a date that's tomorrow. Your stomach does a flip. If Kinich is predicting an unsanctioned eclipse, he's not just heretical, he's dangerous. Here's another dry joke. What's a Mayan star reader's favorite game? Connect the dots, but with divine consequences. You're not laughing, though, because the lamp's flickering and you're pretty sure you heard footsteps. You stuff the deerskin chart under your tunic, which is probably a bad idea, but you're committed now. The codex stays open, its pages heavy with secrets. You notice a drawing of a cenote, the sacred sinkhole you'll visit soon, with stars reflected in its water. Kinich's note reads, "The gods watch here." Creepy, but it tracks. The Maya saw cenotes as gateways to the underworld, perfect for chatting with deities or dumping troublemakers. You lean closer, the lamp's heat warming your face. The charts aren't just maps. They're arguments. Kinich is claiming the priest's ritual sacrifices, bloodletting, are based on bad math. You imagine him hunched here night after night, dodging patrols to scribble his truth. The guy's got guts, or maybe he's just allergic to common sense. You flip to a final page and there's a glyph you recognize from the plaza, the king's seal crossed out. Oh, Kinich, you absolute madman. Defying priests is one thing. Dissing the king is a whole new level of please. Execute me. The Maya used astronomy to justify power kings were divine, chosen by the stars. Kinich's maps spit on that. You're starting to see why Lord Smoke's plotting a quiet trial. If these charts got out, the plaza would be a riot. You hear a rustle outside. Definitely not Steve. Your heart's auditioning for a drum solo. You douse the lamp, plunging the room into darkness. The charts are invisible now, but they're burned into your brain. You're not sure if you're more impressed or terrified by Kinich. Probably both. You crouch, clutching the stolen deerskin, and peek through a crack in the wall. Torchlight flickers outside, guards maybe or priests doing a late-night heresy check. You remember the kid with the maze doll, his faith in Kinich. If these charts are right, that kid's hero might be onto something. If they're wrong, you're all in trouble. Dry joke number 3, why don't star readers use GPS? They're too busy arguing with the sky. You stifle a snort because laughing now would be a one-way ticket to the cenote. The torchlight fades and you exhale. You're alone again, but the charts feel alive, whispering Kinich's rebellion. You want to study them more, but this chamber's no library, and you're no scholar. You tuck the codex under a stone slab, hoping it's safe. The deerskin's still under your tunic, crinkling like it's judging you. You slip out, the jungle's noise swallowing your footsteps. The jaguar's eye star glints above, brighter than ever. You're not sure if it's guiding you or snitching. Either way, Kinich's maps have you hooked, and you're in deeper than you planned. You wander the bustling market, hearing whispers of betrayal, the air thick with the scent of roasted maize, and the sharper tang of fear. The sun's high now, baking the stone paths of Tikal's marketplace, where vendors hawk obsidian blades, jade beads, and suspiciously fresh-looking tamales. People jostle past, their voices a chaotic hum, bartering, gossiping, or muttering about last night's Star Reader drama. You're just another face in the crowd, the deerskin chart still tucked under your tunic, crinkling like it's trying to rat you out. Kinich's name is on everyone's lips, but not in a good way. The market's alive, but there's an undercurrent like a river ready to flood. The Maya markets were economic and social hubs, mainstream fact. Places like Tikal's Central Plaza hosted traders from distant cities, swapping goods and news faster than a modern ex-post. But here's the odd detail. Markets were also hotbeds for rumors where a stray word could spark a riot or doom a man. Some believe Kinich's followers spread his heretical ideas here, whispering about stars and gods to anyone who'd listen. Others argue the priests planted spies to catch those whispers. Either way, you're in the thick of it, and the gossip's spicier than the chili vendor's wares. You pause by a stall piled with cacao beans, the vendor's hands moving like she's conducting an orchestra. She's arguing with a customer over prices. But her eyes flick to you, then away. You're paranoid, or maybe she knows about the chart. You adjust your tunic, hoping the deerskin doesn't peek out. A kid, not the maze doll one, but close, darts past, nearly knocking over a basket of avocados. You catch the vendor muttering, "Star Readers cursed us all." Great. Kinich's cosmic TED Talk is already old news, and the reviews aren't glowing. You weave through the crowd, catching snippets of conversation. Heard he saw a falling star. Priests say he's lying. King's furious. It's like scrolling through a drama thread, except the stakes are lethal. You spot a group of weavers, their looms clicking, whispering about Kinich's eclipse prediction. One says it's tomorrow. Another scoffs, calling it sky nonsense. You're tempted to chime in with the deerskin chart's evidence, but you're not ready to join Kinich on the chopping block. Dry joke time, why don't Maya markets have Yelp too many stars? Not enough reviews. You smirk, but it fades fast. The market's vibe is off. You pass a stall selling feathered headdresses, their Quetzal plumes glinting like Lord Smoke's ego. The vendor's chatting with a warrior, his obsidian-tipped spear leaning casually against a post. You overhear Snot and Heretic, and your pulse spikes. Remember the priest's council on the pyramid? They mentioned the cenote too. You're starting to think it's less a sacred pool and more a cosmic dumpster for problems like Kinich. You keep moving, your sandals slapping the stone. The market's loud, but the whispers cut through, betrayals in the air, and Kinich's allies are thinning. Here's a mainstream fact. The Maya used cacao as currency because who needs gold when you've got chocolate? You're tempted to trade for a drink, but the deerskin chart's making you jumpy. You spot a scribe, his reed pen scratching glyphs on a bark paper sheet. He's sketching a star, and you lean closer, pretending to admire his work. It's the jaguar's eye, same as Kinich's charts. You ask casually if he's heard about the Star Reader. He snorts. Man's got a death wish crossing the priests. You nod, playing dumb, but your mind's racing. Even the nerds are turning on Kinich. You drift toward a fruit stall, the vendor slicing mangoes with a blade sharper than office gossip. A woman nearby, her arms full of maize, mutters to her friend. He was bribed by Calakmul. Calakmul's a rival city always itching to mess with Tikal. Some believe Kinich is a spy stirring chaos for foreign lords. Others argue he's just a dreamer who forgot how to shut up. You're not sure what to think, but the deerskin chart feels heavier, like it's picking a side. You buy a mango slice, mostly to look normal, and munch it while scanning the crowd. Dry joke number 2. What's a Mayan market's bestseller drama with a side of heresy? You're not laughing, though, because you spot a priest's lackey, his black striped face paint unmistakable, lingering by a pottery stall. He's not shopping, he's watching. You duck behind a stack of woven mats, your mango juice dripping like evidence. The lackey's talking to a merchant who points toward the plaza where Kinich preached. You're getting the vibe that snitches get stitches or worse around here? You remember the kid with the maze doll, his hero-worshipping stare. If Kinich has betrayed that kid's heart's breaking soon. You slip into a quieter corner near a stall selling medicinal herbs that smell like regret. 2 old men sit cross-legged playing a dice game with painted stones. They're griping about Kinich 1 saying he's doomed the harvest with his star nonsense. The other chuckles, he'll meet the cenote before the moon. You're starting to hate that word. You lean against a post pretending to inspect a clay pot. The deerskin chart's itching under your tunic and you're wondering if you should ditch it. But Kinich's eclipse prediction tomorrow's eclipse keeps nagging you. What if he's right? The market's pulse is relentless. But you catch a new rumor. Nature's got a disciple, someone spreading his charts. Your hand freezes on the pot. That's you sort of with the deerskin. You're not a disciple, just a nosy ghost, but try explaining that to Lord Smoke's goons. Dry joke 3. Why's the market so tense? Everyone's waiting for the Star Reader's season finale. You force a smile, but your gut's telling you to move. The lackey's gone, but the crowd feels like it's closing in. You slip the pot back and head for the market's edge where the jungle's shadow offers cover. As you leave, a woman selling turquoise beads locks eyes with you. Careful, she whispers, stars don't lie, but men do. You nod, unsure if she's warning you or just cryptic. The deerskin chart burns against your skin. Kinish's rebellion is unraveling, and the market's rumors are tying the noose. You glance at the sky, but it's daylight, no stars to guide you. Just the sun impartial, and the jaguar's eye waiting for night. You're deeper in this than you meant to be, and the market's taught you one thing: betrayal's cheap, but truth costs everything. You peer into the cenote, where omens foretell sacrifice, its still waters, reflecting stars like a mirror to the gods' judgment. The jungle's edge is quiet, save for the distant hum of Tikal's market, now a memory as you stand before this sacred sinkhole. The cenote's rim is jagged limestone, draped with vines that dangle like nature's noose. The air's cooler here, heavy with the scent of wet earth and something ancient like the breath of the underworld. You're alone, the deerskin chart still hidden under your tunic, its weight a reminder of Kinich's rebellion. The water below is black unbroken, and you're pretty sure it's staring back. Cenotes were sacred to the Maya mainstream fact. These natural sinkholes, like the one at Chichen Itza, were gateways to Xibalba, the underworld, where offerings, including human ones, were made to appease the gods. But here's the odd detail. Some cenotes had star mirrors, where priests claimed the night sky's reflection revealed divine will. Some believe Kinich used this cenote to confirm his heretical charts, seeing omens the priests denied. Others argue he was just obsessed with its eerie beauty, scribbling poetry instead of prophecies. Either way, this place feels like a trap, and you're standing at its edge. You crouch, your sandals slipping on mossy stone, and lean forward. The water's surface is a perfect canvas, catching the jaguar's eye constellation Kinich loved. It's daytime, but a few stars linger in the cenote's depths. Or maybe that's your imagination. You remember the market rumors Kinich is doomed, headed for this very cenote. Your fingers brush the deerskin chart, its eclipse glyph burning in your mind. Tomorrow's eclipse, if Kinich is right, could prove him a prophet or seal his fate. You're not sure which scares you more. A breeze stirs the vines and you flinch, half expecting Lord Smoke's lackeys to leap out. Nothing. Just a bird, maybe Steve the Bat's cousin, flapping overhead. Dry joke time: why don't cenotes have lifeguards? Because the gods prefer a hands-off approach. You're not laughing, though, because the cenote is pulling you in, not literally, but like it's whispering secrets. You notice carvings on the rim glyphs of skull stars and a jaguar with eyes like Kinich's constellation. Someone's been here, maybe Kinich, leaving a cosmic post-it note for the brave or foolish. You sit back, your heart steadying. The cenote is not just a hole, it's a stage. The Maya toss jade gold, and sometimes people into these waters believing it kept the cosmos spinning. Kinich's charts, with their no more sacrifices vibe, threaten that cycle. You imagine him standing here, staring into the same depths, defying centuries of tradition. The guy's either a genius or the worst intern the gods ever hired. You pull out the deerskin chart, risking a glance. The cenote's glyph is there, circled with a note. The stars speak truth. Cryptic, but it's got your attention. Here's another dry joke. What's a cenote's favorite song? Drop it, like it's hot. Okay, focus. You trace the chart's eclipse glyph, wondering if Kinich saw it here in the water's starry mirror. The market's betrayal whispers echo: Kalakmul, spies cursed harvests, disciples. You're not a disciple, but you're holding his evidence, and that's close enough to get you in trouble. A twig snaps behind you and you spin, stuffing the chart back under your tunic. It's just a monkey chattering like it's judging your life choices. Still, you're on edge, the cenote's silence louder than the jungle. You stand brushing dirt from your knees. The cenote's water ripples, though there's no wind. You squint, catching a flicker, a star, or maybe a trick of light. The Maya believed cenotes were eyes of the gods, watching, judging. You feel exposed, like the jaguar's eye is snitching again. You remember the priest's counsel, their cenote obsession. If Kinich is headed here, it's not for a swim. You glance at the carvings, again noticing one you missed, a bound figure, arms tied beside a star. Your stomach twists. This isn't just a sacred site, it's a graveyard. Try. Okshi 3. Why's the cenote so calm? It's had years to practice keeping secrets. You force a chuckle, but it's hollow. You're starting to see Kynich's world stars, charts, cenotes, as a puzzle where every piece screams danger. You step back, the limestone crunching underfoot. The jungle's alive now. Birds calling, insects buzzing. But the cenote stays silent. Its secrets locked in water deeper than you'd ever dive. You want to warn Kynich, but you're a ghost stuck watching. The deerskin chart feels like a curse tying you to his fate. You turn to leave, the jungle path beckoning. A shadow moves, human, not monkey. You freeze, your breath catching. It's a kid, maybe the maze doll one, though you can't tell in the dim light. He's staring at the cenote, clutching something, a feather maybe. He was here. The kid whispers, not to you, just to the air. You want to ask who, but he's gone, slipping into the vines like a ghost himself. Your heart's pounding now. The cenote's pull stronger than ever. Kinich's rebellion, his charts, his stars. They're all converging here, and you're caught in the middle with nowhere to run but forward. You sneak into the Star Reader's lair, uncovering banned scrolls, your heart pounding as you slip through a curtain of vines into a hidden chamber. The air's thick with the musty scent of old paper and rebellion, the kind of place where secrets fester like mold. You're back in Tikal, but not the bustling market or the eerie cenote. This is Kinich's private hideout, a cramped room carved into the base of a crumbling temple. The walls are scratched with star charts, and a rickety table holds piles of bark paper scrolls, each one a middle finger to the priest's dogma. The deerskin chart's still under your tunic, but now you're surrounded by its cousins, and every rustle outside screams you're not supposed to be here. The Maya recorded their knowledge in codices, mainstream fact. Only a few, like the Madrid Codex, survived the Spanish bonfires, but they were packed with astronomical and ritual data. Here's the odd detail: rogue scholars like Kinich kept unsanctioned codices hidden from the priests because questioning the official sky narrative was a career ender. Some believe Kinich's scrolls held radical predictions like a cosmic shift no one else saw. Others argue he was just a hoarder with a star fetish. Either way, you're in his stash now, and it feels like rifling through a heretic's diary. You ease the vine curtain shut, praying Steve the Bat isn't snitching. A single clay lamp flickers, casting jittery shadows across the scrolls. You pick one up, its edges crumbling like a stale tortilla. The glyphs are dense, stars, moons, and a glyph you recognize from the cenote, the jaguar's eye. Kinich's obsession is clear, but this scroll's different. It's got a list of dates, each tied to a wandering star. You're no expert, but that sounds like a planet, maybe Venus, which the Maya tracked like it was their favorite soap opera. The last date's tomorrow, circled with the eclipse glyph. Your stomach lurches. Kinich is betting everything on this. You set the scroll down. Your fingers smudged with red ink. The chamber's small, but it's a mess. Scrolls, obsidian tools, even a half-eaten maize cake, like Kinich forgot lunch in his cosmic frenzy. Dry joke time, why'd Kinich skip meals? Too busy dining on starlight. You're not laughing, though, because a shadow moves outside the vines. You freeze, the lamp's flame wobbling like it's nervous too. It's just a monkey chattering, but your heart's doing gymnastics. You're deep in Kinich's world now, and the deerskin chart under your tunic feels like a signed confession. You grab another scroll, this one tied with a jaguar hair cord. It's heavier, inked with black and gold, and the first glyph is a skull. Cheery. It's a prophecy, or maybe a warning about the jaguar's eye falling when the eclipse comes. Kinich's note reads, the gods turn away. You remember the market's rumors. Kalakmul spies cursed harvests and wonder if Kinich is predicting a citywide disaster. The Maya saw eclipses as bad omens, times when the sun god got cranky. If Kinich's right, tomorrow's eclipse could flip Tikal upside down. If he's wrong, he's toast. Here's another dry joke. What's a star reader's favorite hobby? Getting cancelled by the cosmos. You smirk, but it's forced. You unroll another scroll, and it's a map not of stars, but of Tikal. Temples, plazas, and the cenote are marked with arrows pointing to exits. Escape routes. Kinich is not just a dreamer, he's planning. You trace a path leading into the jungle where the priest's patrols thin out. You're tempted to memorize it, but a creak outside stops you cold. The vines rustle and you douse the lamp, plunging the room into darkness. Your breath's loud like it's auditioning for a horror flick. You crouch behind this table, clutching the jaguar hair scroll. Footsteps now human, not monkey. You're cursing your curiosity, the deerskin chart, and Kinnich's terrible hiding spot. The footsteps pause and a voice mutters, "He's been here." It's not Lord Smoke, but it's someone who sounds like they flunked charm school. You're pretty sure it's one of the black striped lackeys from the market. The vines part and torchlight spills in, grazing the scrolls. You're a heartbeat from being caught, but the lackey grunts and moves on. You exhale, but your hands are shaking. This lair's a death trap. You relight the lamp, your fingers fumbling. The scrolls are calling you back like Kinnich's ghost is daring you to keep digging. You find one more tucked under a stone, as if he knew someone would snoop. It's a letter sort of addressed to the next reader. Kinnich's words are blunt. The stars don't lie, but priests do. Trust the jaguar's eye. It's less a manifesto and more a plea, like he knows his days are numbered. You remember the kid at the cenote whispering he was here? Kinich has got fans, but they're not exactly an army. Dry joke. Three Wise Kinnich's lair so messy, he's too busy rearranging the heavens. You chuckle, but it's nervous. The scrolls are a goldmine, but they're also a noose. You're starting to see Kinich not as a madman, but as a guy who saw something real and couldn't shut up about it. The eclipse, the cenote, the jaguar's eye, it's all connected, and you're holding the proof. You roll up the prophecy scroll, tucking it beside the deerskin chart. You're not sure if you're helping Kinich or signing your own cosmic death warrant. You slip out the jungle's noise, swallowing your steps. The temple looms above its stones, silent but judging. You glance at the sky where the jaguar's eye waits for night. Tomorrow's eclipse is coming, and Kinnich's scrolls have you convinced it's more than a shadow. You're not a disciple, but you're carrying his secrets, and that's enough to make you a target. The kid, the market, the cenote. They're all pieces in a game Kinich is losing. You want to find him, warn him, but the jungle's dark, and Tikal's awake, waiting for the stars to decide. You eavesdrop on priests, condemning the star reader's heresy. Your breath shallow as you press against the damp stone of a temple alcove. The night's thick with humidity, and Tikal's grand pyramid looms above its peak, lost in low clouds. You're hidden barely in a narrow crevice near the Jaguar's Claw Temple, where Lord Smoke and his cronies are holding another secret council. Their voices drift down sharp and venomous like jaguars circling a wounded tapir. The deerskin chart and prophecy scroll are still tucked under your tunic, their weight a constant reminder you're playing spy in a game where losers don't get trophies. Kinnich's name hangs in the air, and it's not attached to compliments. The Maya priesthood was a powerhouse mainstream fact. Priests like Lord Smoke weren't just spiritual leaders. They controlled rituals calendars, and the king's divine PR wielding influence that could topple dynasties. But here's the odd detail: some priests kept shadow councils, off-the-books meetings to handle threats like Kinich without public mess. Some believe these councils were about protecting the god's will. Others argue they were just damage control for embarrassed elites. Either way, you're listening in, and it's like overhearing a corporate firing, except with more incense and fewer exit interviews. You shift your sandals, scraping softly, and wince. The alcove's tight moss slick under your fingers, and a spider the size of your ego skitters past. You're not sure if it's Steve the Bat's cousin, or just here for the drama. The priest's voices grow clearer, Lord Smoke's gravelly tone dominating. His charts mock the gods, he snarls, and you can almost hear his quetzal feathers quivering. Another priest, probably black striped from the market, chimes in. The eclipse is his lie. You stifle a gasp. Kinnich's eclipse prediction circled on the deerskin chart is tomorrow, and these guys are already calling it fake news. Dry joke time. Why don't priests trust star readers? They're afraid of anyone with a better sky hookup. You're not laughing, though, because Lord Smoke's next words chill you. He'll face the cenote by moonrise. You remember the cenote's dark water, its starry mirror, and the carved glyph of a bound figure. Kinnich's not just in trouble. He's on the express train to Xibalba. You press closer, the stone cold against your cheek, catching Blackstripe's murmur. The king agrees. No public trial. Your heart sinks. The king's seal crossed out on Kinnich's scroll wasn't just rebellion, it was a death sentence. The Maya used trials to justify executions, often staging them as divine judgments. Kinich is getting the quiet version, which is worse. No crowd, no appeal, just a one-way cenote dive. You imagine the kid with the maze doll, his hero-worshipping eyes, and wonder if he'll ever know what happened. The priest's council is all business now, planning logistics like they're organizing a potluck. Warriors at dawn, Lord Smoke says. No followers. You recall the market rumors about Kinich's disciple. Yep, that's you accidentally with the scrolls. You're not spreading his gospel, but you're carrying his evidence, and that's enough to get you on the guest list for trouble. Another priest, his voice reedy, suggests burning Kinich's scrolls. You clutch the prophecy scroll tighter. It's jaguar hair cord digging into your skin. Black stripe objects. Keep them. Proof of his madness. You're torn between relief and dread. They won't torch the evidence, but they'll use it to bury Kinich's legacy. Some believe Kinich's charts were genius, predicting cosmic shifts centuries ahead. Others argued they were delusional scribbles. You've seen the scrolls, the eclipse glyph, the jaguar's eye. They're precise, obsessive, but are they true? You're no astronomer, but you're starting to root for the underdog. Dry joke. 2. What's a priest's favorite board game? Monopoly, but they own the heavens. You smirk, but it's forced. The council's wrapping up and Lord Smoke's staff thumps the stone a sound that echoes like a gavel. The stars will silence him, he says, which sounds poetic until you realize it's code for, we're tossing him in the cenote. You remember Kinich's note, the stars don't lie, but priests do. He's got a point, but it's not winning him friends. The priests' cloaks rustle as they descend the pyramid, their torchlight fading. You're alone again, Spider included with a front row seat to Kinich's doom. You ease out of the alcove. Your legs cramped to the jungle's hum. Returning cicadas. Frogs, maybe a real jaguar. The prophecy scrolls warning about the eclipse. The gods turn away feels heavier now. If Kinich is right, tomorrow's eclipse could shake Tikal's faith. If he's wrong, the priests get to say told you so while he drowns. You glance at the sky where clouds hide the jaguar's eye. It's like the stars are taking a sick day, leaving you to deal with the mess. You're tempted to ditch the scrolls, but Kinich's plea to trust the jaguar's eye keeps you holding on. Dry joke 3. Why's the council so secretive they don't want the gods to file a complaint? You chuckle, but it's nervous. The priest's plan is clear. Kinich's heresy ends at the cenote. No fanfare, no mercy. You remember the kid at the cenote, whispering he was here, and wonder if he's part of Kinich's tiny fan club. You want to find him, warn him, but Tikal's a maze and dawn's coming fast. The scrolls are burning a hole in your tunic, and every step feels like a countdown. You slip into the jungle, the pyramid's shadow swallowing you, praying the stars, or at least Steve, the bat, have your back. You flee with the Star Reader through a moonlit jungle, your feet pounding the earth as Kinich leads the way, his feathered cloak a flickering shadow against the vines. The air's heavy thick with the scent of wet leaves and panic as Tikal's lights fade behind you. You're not sure how you found him. Maybe it was the kid's whisper at the cenote. Maybe dumb luck. But here you are running from Lord Smoke's warriors, the deerskin chart and prophecy scroll bouncing under your tunic. Kinich's breath is ragged, but his eyes are sharp, scanning the jungle like it's another star chart. The moon's high silver light slicing through the canopy, and every snap of a twig feels like a death knell. The Mayan knew their jungle's mainstream fact. Cities like Tikal were carved from dense forests, and locals navigated trails with the ease of reading glyphs, using them for trade, war, or escape. But here's the odd detail: some paths were ghost trails, unmarked routes, known only to outcasts, or rebels used to dodge patrols. Some believe Kinich mapped these trails in his scrolls, a backup plan for nights like this. Others argue he's just winging it, trusting the stars to guide him. Either way, you're on one now, and it's less a trail and more a suggestion overgrown with roots that grab your ankles like angry gods. You stumble, catching yourself on a tree, its bark rough under your palms. Kinich glances back, his face half lit, and hisses, "Keep up, or the cenote gets us both." Charming. You're not sure if he knows about the scrolls you're carrying, but he's not stopping to chat. You remember the priest's council, their dawn deadline, and push harder, your lungs burning. The jungle's alive, howler monkeys, screeching, insects buzzing, maybe Steve the bat cheering you on. Dry joke time. Why is the jungle so loud? It's auditioning for Kinich's next prophecy. You're not laughing though, because torchlight flickers behind you, warriors closing in. Kinich veers left, ducking under a curtain of vines. You follow thorns snagging your tunic and emerge into a clearing where a fallen ceiba tree blocks the path. He climbs it like a pro, and you scramble after less gracefully. The ceiba's sacred to the Maya, a cosmic tree linking earth and sky, but right now it's just a giant inconvenience. You glance back, spotting silhouettes. 3, maybe 4 warriors, their obsidian-tipped spears glinting. Kinich's escape map from his lair better be legit, because you're not outrunning these guys on vibes alone. You drop to the other side, landing in mud that sucks at your sandals. Kinich's already moving, pointing to a narrow gap between boulders. There he whispers, his voice low but steady. You squeeze through the stones, scraping your shoulders, and find a faint path marked by a single glyph carved into a root, a star, the jaguar's eye. Kinich's work, no doubt. You're starting to think he's less a dreamer and more a survivalist. The prophecy scrolls warning the gods turn away flashes in your mind. If the eclipse is tomorrow, Kinich is running out of time to prove it. Here's another dry joke. What's a star reader's cardio routine? Fleeing priests before breakfast. You smirk, but it's grim. The warriors' shouts are closer, their torches painting the jungle red. Kinich grabs your arm, pulling you behind a kapok tree, its roots like giant fingers. You crouch, your heart hammering as the warriors pass, their footsteps heavy. One pauses, sniffing the air like a jaguar. You hold your breath, the scrolls pressing against your ribs. He moves on and Kinich's grip eases. They're not stupid, he mutters, but the stars are with us. You're not sure if he's optimistic or delusional. The Maya use the jungle for guerrilla tactics, ambushing enemies or hiding from them. Kinich is playing that game now, but the odds suck. You remember the market's rumors, Calicomal spies cursed harvests, and wonder if Kinich's escape is a solo act or part of a bigger plan. Some believe he's got allies waiting. Others argue he's a lone wolf betrayed by everyone but the sky. You're his accidental sidekick, and the scrolls make you a target. You want to ask him about the eclipse, the cenote, but he's already moving, his cloak blending with the shadows. You follow the path, twisting deeper into the jungle. A stream glints ahead, its water catching moonlight like the cenote's starry mirror. Kinich kneels, splashing his face, and you catch a glimpse of his eyes. Tired, but burning with something you can't name. Faith madness. He points across the stream to a cave, its mouth barely visible. Sanctuary, he says, and you're not sure if he means safety or surrender. You cross the water cold against your shins and slip into the cave. It's damp, smelling of bat guano. Sorry, Steve. The warrior's voices fade, but you're not safe yet. Dry joke. Three-wise Kinich so calm? He's got a 5-star rating from the cosmos. You chuckle, but it's tense. Inside the cave, Kinich leans against the wall, catching his breath. You're tempted to show him the scrolls, but a rustle outside stops you. You peer out, seeing nothing but moonlight. Maybe it's the kid with the maze doll trailing his hero, or maybe it's another warrior. You're not sticking around to find out. Kinich nods like he's reading your mind and points deeper into the cave. The stars lead on, he says, and you follow the jungle's chaos behind you, the eclipse looming ahead, and the scrolls tying you to a man who's either Tikal's savior or its biggest mistake. You witness the Star Reader's capture by relentless warriors, the jungle's moonlit sanctuary turning into a trap as dawn's first light betrays Kinich. The cave's damp walls press close, the air stale with badguano and despair as you crouch beside him. The deerskin chart and prophecy scroll still hidden under your tunic. Outside, the stream gurgles a cruel mockery of freedom, while warriors' footsteps crunch closer, their torchlight stabbing through the cave's mouth. Kinich's eyes, once bright with cosmic defiance, are now shadowed, his feathered cloak torn from the jungle chase. You're not his disciple, just a ghost caught in his story, but your heart's pounding like you're the one they're hunting. The Maya were skilled trackers. Mainstream fact. Warriors trained to hunt in jungles could follow trails through rain and darkness using signs like broken twigs or disturbed earth to catch fugitives. But here's the odd detail. Some believed the gods guided their hunts with stars or omens pointing the way. Some say Lord Smoke's warriors were led by a priest's vision of the jaguar's eye. Others argue they just got lucky following Kinich's sloppy trail. Either way, they're here, and the cave's no sanctuary. It's a dead end. You peer through a crack in the rocks, spotting 5 warriors. Their faces painted with black and red spears, gleaming like they're overcompensating. One with a jaguar tooth necklace barks orders pointing at the cave. Kinich whispers. They knew his voice bitter, like he's cursing the stars themselves. You remember the priest's council, their dawn deadline, and realize this was no accident. Someone snitched. Maybe the kid at the cenote or a market spy. The prophecy scrolls warning the gods turn away feels like a bad horoscope. Tomorrow's eclipse is hours away, but Kinich is out of time. Dry joke time. Why don't warriors play hide and seek? They always bring torches. You're not laughing though, because Jaguar Tooth's men fan out, blocking the cave's only exit. Kinich grips an obsidian knife, small and useless against spears, but his jaws set like he's ready to argue with the gods one last time. You want to hand him the scrolls, let him make a final stand, but there's no time. A warrior shouts, spotting Kinich's cloak through the vines, and the cave feels smaller, the air thinner. You press against the wall, the scrolls digging into your ribs. The Maya captured enemies for sacrifice, often binding them for rituals to appease the gods. Kinich is no enemy, but his heresies, close enough. You see it now, ropes in a warrior's hand knotted with jade beads, the fancy kind for high-profile captives. Kainich lunges for the cave's back where a narrow tunnel twists deeper, but you both know it's a long shot. You follow, scrambling over rocks, the warrior's shouts echoing like a bad soundtrack. The tunnel's tight, scraping your elbows, and Kinich is ahead, his breath ragged. "The stars led me here," he mutters, and you're not sure if he's hopeful or broken. Here's another dry joke. What's a star reader's worst GPS? A warrior with a grudge. You grimace, dodging a stalactite. The tunnel opens into a smaller chamber lit by a shaft of dawn light through a crack above. Kinich stops staring at the light, like it's the jaguar's eye. "It's today," he says, meaning the eclipse, but the warrior's footsteps are close, their spears clattering against stone. You want to ask if the eclipse will save him, but Jaguar Tooth's voice booms, "Kinich! The gods forsake you. It's dramatic, but effective." Kinich's shoulders slump, and you know he's done running. The warriors burst in, their torches blinding. Kinich raises his knife, but Jaguar Tooth's faster, knocking it away with a spear's butt. You're frozen, a ghost they can't see, as they bind Kinich's wrists with those jade-beaded ropes. His eyes meet yours for a split second, and you swear he knows about the scrolls, like he's trusting you to carry his truth. They drag him out, his cloak trailing like a fallen flag. You're left in the chamber, the dawn light cold, the scrolls heavy. Some believe Kinich's capture was divine justice. Others say it was just politics silencing a threat. You're not sure, but you feel the weight of his defeat. You slip out, trailing the warriors at a distance, the jungle waking with birds and mist. Kinich is silent now, his head bowed as they march him back to Tikal. You remember the kid with the maze doll, his whispered he was here, and wonder if he'll see his hero like this bound, beaten human. The market's rumors, the cenote's omens, the priest's counsel. They've all led to this. A man betrayed by his city. Dry joke. 3. Wise Kainich, so quiet, he's saving his breath for the stars. You choke on the laugh because the cenote's waiting, and the eclipse is coming, and you're carrying Kainich's secrets into a city that wants them buried. You attend the silent trial and execution under starlight, the cenote's edge. A cold stage where Kinich's fate unfolds without a word. Tikal's night is heavy, the air thick with copal smoke, and the jungle's restless hum as you stand among a sparse crowd, priests, warriors, and a few hushed onlookers. The cenote from before looms, its water a black mirror reflecting the jaguar's eye constellation, mocking Kinich's charts. He's there bound with jade-beaded ropes, his face calm, but eyes fixed on the sky like he's waiting for the eclipse to save him. The deerskin chart and prophecy scroll burn under your tunic, but you're a ghost, invisible, clutching secrets no one wants. Lord Smoke looms, his quetzal feathers, still as the ritual begins in eerie silence. The Maya held ritual executions mainstream fact. Sacrifices, often captives or heretics, were offered at cenotes or temples to appease gods, especially during cosmic events like eclipses. But here's the odd detail. Some trials were silent with a no-spoken verdict, the gods' will shown through signs like star alignments or priestly gestures. Some believe Kinich's trial is silent to avoid public unrest. Others argue it's just the priest's way of saying we're done talking. Either way, the cenote's the courtroom and the stars are the jury. You shift your sandals, crunching on limestone, and a warrior glares, his spear glinting. You freeze the scrolls, feeling like a neon sign. Kainich stands at the cenote's rim, his torn cloak fluttering. Lord Smoke raises his staff, jade jaguar head gleaming, and points to the jaguar's eye in the sky. No words, just a nod. The crowd's breath catches, and you realize the eclipse is close, the moon's edge nibbling the sun's light, though it's still night. Kinich's prediction scrawled on the deerskin was right, but it's not saving him. You remember his words. The stars don't lie, but priests do. Too late, buddy. Dry joke time. Why's the trial so quiet? The gods hate spoilers. You're not laughing, though, because Blackstripe, the priest from the market, steps forward holding one of Kinich's scrolls. Not yours, thankfully. He unrolls it, showing the jaguar's eye glyph, and shakes his head like it's a bad report card. The crowd murmurs, but Lord Smoke's glare shuts them up. You spot the kid with the maze doll half hidden behind a woman, his eyes wide. He's seeing his hero judged, and you want to tell him to look away. But you're stuck a bystander to a cosmic hit job. The eclipse deepens, the sky dimming, and the cenote's water ripples, reflecting a warped jaguar's eye. Kinich's prophecy scroll warned the gods turn away, and it feels true. The air's colder, the stars sharper. Lord Smoke gestures, and two warriors grab Kinich, pushing him closer to the edge. He doesn't resist, just stares at the sky, lips moving silently, maybe praying or cursing. You're close enough to see his hands still bound, twitching like he's tracing one last star chart. Some believe he's accepting his fate. Others argue he's mocking the priest to the end. You're leaning toward the latter. Here's another dry joke. What's a star reader's last wish? A better lawyer than the stars. You grimace, clutching the scrolls tighter. The Maya saw eclipses as cosmic battles, the sun god fighting to return. Kinich's trial timed with this one is no accident. It's theater proving the priest's power. Lord Smoke lowers his staff, and the warriors step back. Kinich is alone now, the cenote yawning below. You want to shout, show the scrolls, but your voice is gone, and the kid's staring and the eclipse is peeking the sky a bruised purple. The execution silent like the trial. No chants, no drums, just the jungle's hum and your heartbeat. Kinich steps forward, whether by choice or a nudge you can't tell, and drops into the cenote. The water swallows him, barely rippling like it's done this before. The crowd silent, the kid's maze doll falling to the ground. You feel the scrolls heavy as guilt and wonder if Kinich knew they'd outlive him. Lord Smoke turns away his feathers catching starlight, and the warriors disperse. The eclipse fades, the sun creeping back, but the cenote stays dark. Dry joke 3. Why is the cenote so greedy? It collects stars and dreamers. You choke on the thought because Kinich is gone and Tikal feels emptier. You slip away the scrolls, your only proof he was right. The kid's gone too, maybe crushed, maybe hiding. You're alone, the jungle path calling, but first you pause, staring at the cenote. The jaguar's eye reflects, unblinking like it's keeping Kinich's secret. You want to drop the scrolls in, let them sink, but his plea, trust the jaguar's eye, stops you. The stars saw everything, and so did you. Wind down. You wander Tikal's quiet paths. The city's pulse slowing as dawn paints the pyramid's gold. The cenote is behind you, its water still holding Kinich's story in its depths. The scrolls are heavy, but you carry them, a silent promise to a man who chased truth and lost. The jungle hums softly now. Cicadas, fading birds, waking a gentle rhythm that soothes your frayed nerves. You pass the market, empty its stalls like ghosts of yesterday's chaos. The kid with the maze doll might be home dreaming of heroes, and you hope he finds peace. Kinich's eclipse came and went. The stars unmoved, but his defiance lingers, a whisper in the stones. You find a quiet plaza site and let the morning wrap you in its calm. The jaguar's eye is gone, hidden by daylight, but you feel its gaze soft, forgiving. Tikal sleeps again, its secret safe, and you're just a traveler drifting through a story that's done. Rest now, all is quiet.